Good evening and welcome to Grady News Source. I'm Brian Stewart.
And I'm Brenna Bazinski.
You may want to check what's in your bag before you try to get through the gates at Sanford Stadium. A new regulation may keep you from getting in to see the Bulldogs play. Umbrellas, drink containers, and strollers are just some of the items not allowed in the stadium. But now getting your camera through those gates may be difficult. Any digital camera with a detachable lens is now prohibited according to a new policy. The reason for this change, according to the Associate Athletic Director for Event Management, is to keep guidelines similar across all stadiums, as well as making sure other guests have plenty of seating space.
I mean, I was really upset because I had walked all this way to come to the game, like it was 20 minutes before kickoff. There was no way I was going to walk back, and since the past 2 years, I've had no trouble with it. I brought the same camera in, so.
No information was sent out to season ticket holders this summer, but they did update the signs at the gates in the fan guide and in the online stadium policies.
The highest student attendance since 2009 and a win over South Carolina for the first time in 3 years still left some students upset. Chris Gilmer is live on UGA's campus with more. Chris, why are people so frustrated after such a big win?
The reason? It was South Carolina, Georgia, plain and simple. Some problems arose for some students who even had tickets to the game. They left their seat to go to a bathroom break and weren't allowed to re-enter. Tens of thousands of fans screaming their heads off as the Dogs had a big goal line stand that sealed the deal on Saturday. But some students didn't have that opportunity.
It was very frustrating also because it was a big game.
And that's the reason Sanford Stadium was packed. There was red all over to cheer on the Dogs in their big SEC opener. But even once inside with a seat, some students still missed out on some of the big plays.
When I left that level to go to the bathroom and I tried to come back in, they wouldn't even let me in the 300 levels. I said, well, I was already sitting here, and they said, well, I'm sorry. I said, my friends are saving me my seat, and they said, we can't let you back in. There's nothing we can do.
Georgia ticket manager Tim Searley wasn't able to comment on camera, but did say that if student attendance does reach its capacity of 16,200, then students would no longer be allowed into Sanford Stadium and would be notified at the gate. Rutledge said she is a little concerned about the available student seating for LSU, but
I'm definitely going to plan accordingly. You usually don't worry about it. You just think, okay, I bought these tickets, I can get into the student section, but I'm definitely going to prepare next time and get in a little earlier to assure that I can get a seat.
The confusion seems to be with the Athens CSC event staff, who believe that the student section was at its 16,200 capacity, when in reality it wasn't. All the UGA Athletic Association says it can do is to monitor the sections more closely to make sure the seats are used to their full capacity. Refunds won't be given to students. For Grady News Source, I'm Chris Gilmore.
Thanks, Chris. I'll be getting there early to be sure to get a seat.
An old but favorite board game comes to life. Battleship is no longer just played in your living room. It's the newest intramural sport at UGA, played in canoes. Students and faculty at UGA can sink each other's canoes by throwing buckets of water into the boats. But players can't take the water out of their boat. The last one floating wins. About 18 teams are signed up so far, and senior coordinator of intramural sports, Jason James, had this to say.
We've had a lot of different people say they want to do it and talk about it. The challenge is getting them to actually go to the cashier's window and register and sign up their team.
This game may be understood better seen than explained. So you can come on out to the first tournament. It's September 15th, and the deadline to register is tomorrow the 10th at 5 o'clock.
Dolphin death is on the rise. The reason? A virus has spread from dolphin to dolphin. Reporter Tiffany Buck has more on how the College of Veterinary Medicine helped determine what's killing these animals. Tiffany, what is this virus?
The morbillivirus is the main culprit for the increase in deaths so far. UGA is one of only 3 universities that has been doing research on these dolphins. The University of Florida and UC Davis also confirmed that this virus is to blame.
The sample here is positive, this sample is negative, that one is positive.
Positive samples are more common now as research is ongoing here at the Diagnostic Laboratory, or the D-Lab, to investigate the spike in dolphin mortality. Dr. Susan Sanchez says the researchers have determined that the morbillivirus is to blame.
And it's passing from animal to animal, and it's making them sick enough that end up stranded and dying at the beach.
Samples from deceased dolphins are sent to the D-Lab. Researchers use these protective screens and wear gloves to protect the samples from contamination. Tests like these are run to amplify the DNA to determine what is causing dolphins to die. After the amplified DNA is put into the gel, you add an electric current in order to move the DNA through the gel before it's put into the imaging machine. 45 minutes later, you have your results. Not every dolphin dies because of this virus, but it is the most common cause. Dolphins that are rehabilitated and recover are immune from the virus.
Some of them die, some of them don't, and the ones that don't end up with an immunity. Then that immunity survives in those animals for a long period of time.
The D-Lab is continuing to investigate this rise in dolphin deaths, but that's not their only priority.
We're not here just for the dolphins, but we are here for all the animals in the state and just all over the world. We try to preserve health, animal health and human health.
Now, Dr. Sanchez stressed to me that if you see a beach dolphin, don't try to help it. If you touch them, it can actually make them sicker. Instead, call the local authorities such as the Coast Guard. Live in the newsroom, I'm Tiffany Buck.
Thanks, Tiffany. Dr. Sanchez and the researchers at the D-Lab are still running tests to determine if anything else is responsible for this rise in dolphin deaths.
And we'll have more after the break. Stay tuned. The Athens-Clarke County School Board today gave the thumbs up to a controversial book. A mother and father challenged the use of the book because of what they deemed harsh language.
We have team coverage from reporter Lindsay Truman and Monica Kalusik. We'll start with Lindsay. Lindsay, this has all started because of a single paragraph, correct?
Yes, that's right. It's one paragraph out of this book that's close to 80 pages long. But some parents are saying that harsh language is even an understatement. But the school board is saying that it's all about the context of the book. Now, we are going to provide an excerpt, and it is pretty harsh language, so you might want to keep that in mind when you're watching the story.
Nothing but the truth, so that you got it.
The meeting started with a swearing in, but it's a different kind of swearing that brought everyone together. This controversy started when Chad and Beth Lowry discovered their 11-year-old daughter was reading a book that contained what some might define as profane language.
I was personally outraged. I was surprised at first to see that this would even be a passage, used, and then I was outraged that I was not informed that the passage would be in a book, that there would be any kind of passage like that.
In this book, one 4-letter word was used 8 times that some parents didn't feel was appropriate for their 11-year-old. The passage comes at the end of the book, which is a series of vignettes. The Lowrys argued that the language was too vulgar for 7th grade students. The superintendent released a statement saying that the one paragraph does not overpower the other literary elements that this book contains.
I don't know if you're going to...
And the school board agreed with that law when they ruled today. Sarah Ellis is one of the school board members that voted to keep the book on the list. She said that this ruling brought up some other issues as well.
The ultimate decision today was not about whether or not to ban this book, but whether or not to continue to support our teachers and their decisions for their personal classrooms.
Ellis says that as a parent and a previous educator, she feels that her children could read this book and this passage in particular in the right situation.
Would I hand this book to my 7th grader and tell him to read it? Absolutely not. That's not the way that this book was intended for use.
And while the majority of the school board did vote in favor, it was a very close call. It was 3-2, and most of the school board had some reservations on both sides. Now, Monica, you were there with me. What did you think? It was pretty close, wasn't it?
I totally agree with you. And Lindsay, because it was so close, it was surprising that the board did reach a decision, but they did. And Beth Lowry says that her fight isn't over.
It has been a long and arduous process, and it is not finished. We will appeal to the state.
Lowry was disappointed with the outcome of the ruling, she is still happy it's raising awareness in the school district. The Lowrys weren't the only parents upset by a passage in Thomas Rivera's book. Deborah Allen also has concerns about how harsh language might impact her kids.
It's inappropriate language, and you can send something home to a parent to say, do you want this read? Some people have very Christian backgrounds.
One controversial paragraph in this book has sparked conversation that could lead to policy change.
Members are torn about whether the language in this passage overshadows the literary value of the book.
I ultimately think that another board member, Denise Spangler, said it really well, that the power needs to be in the teachers to determine the books that their children read. Every class is unique, every year is unique, every reading level is unique.
Sarah Ellis and other members from the school board say they're happy that the Lowrys and other families care enough about their students' education to get this involved.
Now, the Board of Education has a new policy on the agenda for their meeting on Wednesday. Live in the newsroom, Monica Kaluzek.
Thanks, Monica. So,
Thanks, Monica. Does that case absolutely final, or will there be some kind of appeal?
There is going to be appeal. Beth Lowry said that she's going to have everything come back to the state, and they already have filed everything like that, so we'll be catching up with her in a couple weeks when that comes through.
Thank you. Just a few short years ago, teachers would snatch up any phones or tablets their students had out in class. But now, the Walton County School District is doing just the opposite. Every high school student is now issued an Apple iPad. They're given a 16-gig iPad 2 for school use only. The district brought them in as part of a 2012 referendum called the East Smart Initiative, which includes a $6 million upgrade for technology at every school. And it seems to be paying off.
The students have been very excited overall. They come to school, you see them in the cafeteria in the morning time, they're on the iPads, they might be doing homework, they might be watching a video, they might be listening to music.
iPads will be in the hands of every middle school teacher by October, and every middle school student will have one starting next school year.
Neat rows of desks could become a thing of the past. With clusters and swirls of tables that can be rearranged, Athens-Clarke County schools are innovating their classrooms to improve the learning environment. Reporter Natalia Rodriguez visited one of these schools. Now, Natalia, how different are these classrooms from when we were in elementary school?
Well, they are pretty different. You may recall sitting in long rows of desks like this one and having blackboards like that. But today, those are being replaced by wobbly stools, computerized blackboards, and movable furniture that facilitate both the teacher and the student's job. Come see an amazing school. That's what kids at Barrow Elementary want you to do. Their school is the prototype for schools of the future. The School of the Future features new furniture. It offers flexible and fun spaces for students to work and make the most out of their learning experience.
They love this space, one, because of the flexibility, but also because there are so many different places to sit and different furniture that can be used in different ways, from a traditional stool like I'm sitting in to chairs that you can sit in forward or backward because of the design, beanbag chairs, there's soft seating.
The students also use all kinds of new technologies instead of just school books.
Our students are using iPads and netbooks and laptops, and this year we're going to be starting some Lego robotics and looking at doing some 3D printing as well.
The great thing about these new features, like the Nook that you can see here, is the flexibility that it provides to students. Students can move tables like this in any way they want and even have fun while learning in these wobbly stools. Flexibility is the key, and according to Jana Dresden, a specialist in elementary and social studies, having an environment that can be changed, organized, and adapted by students and teachers is perfect for learning.
When you have tables that can be rearranged so that students can work individually or in groups of 2 or in groups of 4 or in groups of 8 or as a whole group, then it enables you to construct a classroom environment that responds to the needs of the children and the material that they're trying to learn at that time.
Right now, it's students like Katie, Nico, and Brad who enjoy the perks of these features. But Dresden believes that the school district will use this success as a model for other schools. With all these technologies, some people think that maybe in the near future, teachers would not even be needed. But Dr. Dresden thinks that that would be totally detrimental for the students and even the schools. Live on campus, I am Natalia Rodriguez.
A new weather system is moving its way in. After the break, I'll tell you when it's going to get here and how you can plan for it.
The Great Gatsby was a box office sensation, and tonight you can experience a magnificent Gatsby party firsthand. The University Union and the agency have teamed up to produce the Glamour of Gatsby fashion show. The audience will be transported back to the Roaring 20s through attitude, beauty, and attire. Both students and Athens locals are invited to attend the show tonight at the Tate Grand Hall. For more ticket information, go to ugaunion.wordpress.com.
As if going to UGA games wasn't cool enough, I found out something that's even cooler. Students can now go win prizes for going to UGA games. These are just some of the prizes you can earn just by attending athletic events. A picture with UGA on the field during game day, and an hour of court time at Stegman Coliseum, or even a chance to walk through the dog walk with the Redcoat Band. Clothing, hats, gift cards, and iPad minis are up for grabs too. All you have to do is register your student ID number online, then swipe your student ID at all athletic events you go to. It's simple. The more events you attend.
That's all we have for tonight. Thanks for watching.